Alright, this is Healthcare Bill, part number 45. If you'll remember, in the last video, we were talking about requirements relating to cost sharing, and we were talking about the annual limitation on cost sharing. In Part A, it says, the cost sharing incurred under a health plan with respect to self-only coverage or coverage other than self-only coverage for a plan year beginning in 2014 shall not exceed the dollar amounts in effect under Section 223, Subsection C, Subsection 2, Subsection A, Subsection 2, of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 for self-only and family coverage, respectively, for taxable years beginning in 2014. Now, that requires us to find Section 223 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. Would you like to see it? Of course you would. Here it is. This section is going to actually talk about high-deductible health plans. In general, the term high-deductible health plan means a health plan which has an annual deductible which is not less than $1,000 for self-only coverage and twice the dollar amount in subclause 1 for family coverage, and the sum of the annual deductible and other annual out-of-pocket expenses required to be paid under the plan other than for premiums for covered benefits does not exceed $5,000 for self-only coverage and twice the dollar amount in subclause 1 for family coverage. So, what we are looking for is, let me take you through this here. We got C2A, alright? Well, this is in Section C. This is the number 2 here. This is the A right here. Okay? And we have to go to number 2. Well, here's the A, here's 1, here's 2. Okay, so now I'll go down here, make sure this doesn't fall over. I'll go ahead and scroll this up just a bit. And so this number 2 says the sum of the annual deductible and other annual out-of-pocket expenses required to be paid under the plan other than for premiums for covered benefits do not exceed. Now, the sum of the annual deductible. That annual deductible can be anywhere between $500 and $1,500. So that's something you have to pay before the insurance pays anything. Okay? And other annual out-of-pocket expenses. Okay, now keep in mind that the other annual out-of-pocket expenses, usually in a health insurance plan, that's an 80-20. They pay 80%, you pay 20%. Okay? So, you add whatever it is between that 80-20 and that anywhere between $500 and $1,500, and that total between those two cannot exceed $5,000 for self-only coverage or twice the dollar amount in subclause 1 for family coverage, okay? So it's twice the dollar amount in subclause 1 would be $10,000. So in other words, before the insurance covers 100% of everything, you have to cough up either $5,000 for an individual or $10,000 for a family. Once you hit that $10,000 mark, they have to pay everything 100%. No questions asked. That's what they were talking about in that particular section. So, now we'll go on. Now, 2015 or later, in the case of any plan year, whatever the limitation under this paragraph shall be, in the case of self-only coverage, and I'll go ahead and scroll this up for you a little bit more, be equal to the dollar amount under subparagraph A for self-only coverage for plan years beginning in 2014, increased by an amount equal to the product of that amount and the premium adjusted percentage under paragraph 4 for the calendar year. In the case of other coverage, twice the amount in effect under clause 1. Okay. If the amount of any increase under clause 1 is not a multiple of 50, such increase shall be rounded to the next lowest multiple of 50. So let's say they decided to increase it to $5,050. That's okay. Now if they increase it to $5,075, it gets rounded down to $5,050. Alright. Annual limitation on deductibles for employer-sponsored plans. In the case of a health in the case of a health plan offered in a small group market, the deductible under the plan shall not exceed $2,000 in the case of a plan covering a single individual, and $4,000 in case of any other plan. Now, what that means is that if you're buying your own health insurance, then the $5,000 and the $10,000 I was talking about apply. However, if you're getting your health insurance from an actual employer, then your limits are $2,000 and $4,000. So, first of all, you have to pay up your deductible, which could be anywhere between $500 to $1,500. After that, it's 80-20 until you reach this $2,000, or this $4,000 if you're covering a whole family. Okay? The amounts under Clause 1 and Clause 2 may be increased by the maximum amount of reimbursement which is reasonably available to a participant under a flexible spending arrangement described in 106C2 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, determined without regard to any salary reduction arrangement. Okay. Well, in my next video, I am going to show you Section 106C2 and explain that one to you. Alright, I will tell you more in the next video, so stay tuned.